You've got the drought tolerance piece in place. Are you, at this point in the company, focused primarily on commercializing that trait, or are you also focused on developing other traits?
We've got a pipeline which we, at the one end, we do gene discovery. So we have gene discovery, and then we sort of find out if the gene's going to be any good or not, and do a lot of work on the gene. And then we go through to crop development. So in Saskatoon, they do crop development, usually in canola, to develop canola plants. And then we test it in the field. So we go all the way through, and so that the YPT, the drought tolerance, is gone through the whole system, and it's gone through field trials and is now being licensed out to companies. But we've got a trait that gives heat resistance in a plant. So the plant's growing, especially in Saskatoon and the American West, you get good weather, and suddenly you get tremendous heat. It'll suddenly come through, and if a plant is flowering and there's a heat a hot spell in the weather, it'll basically abort the flowers, and you'll get a tremendous loss in yield. And we've got plants that will withstand that, and so that's going to be interesting. We've got another gene which is a drought type of gene, but it makes the plant more efficient at all times. So even if the plant's got plenty of water around its roots, it still uses less than other plants. And this is going to be very useful in areas where you're using irrigation to water your crops. And this is going to be a massive problem. I don't think people realize just how much water we use for crops. And 40% of the world's food comes from irrigated land, and we're running out of water. I saw a report just recently saying that in the next 20 years we'll double our water use, and we can't do it. There's not enough fresh water. So we're going to have to get plants that use water more efficiently. And of course we're going to use plants now as fuel to make ethanol instead of gasoline, and we're going to have massive increases in yield. So I think there's quite a crunch coming in agriculture. We'll have to do something about producing plants that have higher yields and can work on less water.
Excellent. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I think it's just a very exciting time in plant biotechnology at the present time. I think there's a tremendous need to develop plants with these new types of traits, and I think we've got the technology to do it. And it's just going to be fascinating. I think we can do now more than we've ever been able to do before, and we know more about plants than I studied plants for my whole career as a professor, and we know more in the last 5 years than we found in the last 30 or 40 years. It's a very exciting time.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure having you.
It's a great pleasure talking to you.